Hello, everyone. Welcome back in to Thoughts of the Challenge. And I am your host, your boy Miro. And we are back in for another segment. I like to tell y'all that Thoughts of the Challenge is something I bring to the world because most of the time we find ourselves in these situations that we would like to have a helping hand in. And most of us are too proud to ask for it. Most of us go to some outside source like books or podcasts, and we find a way of letting those words help us. And what we don't see when it comes to the life coaches or the meditators, gurus, is the struggles they went through to get there, to put themselves in a position where they can talk about how they overcame and how they became the version of themselves that they are today. In which, if you're joining me today, you know that I'm still working my way through how to present, how to articulate, and where my life's journey can be included inside of these presentations. I'm sort of accustomed to talking about it now as I've gotten older, and I put more of my life inside of the screen, inside of audios and content. I've learned to talk about it. I've learned to express about it. And so I'm taking a chance in presenting a podcast of my own and starting from absolutely nothing. I have no followings. I have no experience behind the mic. I have some experience behind the camera if you follow my content on TikTok. But even that's minimal in comparison to this long form content creating. Because in a podcast form, you put yourself and your perspective in check. You start to align the meanings and you start to bring in understandings that you didn't quite get to begin with. And then you start to put it all together so you can present it to everyone else to help them grow from the situations that they are going through. You as a person have already overcame many of different things in life, many of challenges, many of cases that you didn't believe you would live through, but you have. You've endured, you overcame, and you have become anew. And somewhere along the line, you had to go through what the world sees as failure. There's a strange thing about failure. Everybody talks about success like it's a destination, a finish line, a trophy on a shelf. You know, you hear about success stories. You think that they got that instantaneously, but you didn't see the struggles. Nobody talks about the graveyard you have to walk through to get to the success line. All the failed attempts, all the broken plans, the nights you sat awake questioning if any of it was worth it. And even heavier than failure is being misunderstood while you're failing. Because failing is one thing, but failing while the world watches and builds their own story about you, that's a different kind of pain. Today, we're going to talk about failure, misrepresentation, and the understanding that goes behind that kind of pain. Not the polished version, the real version, the one with scars. Failure has a ugly reputation. Like it means you lost. Like it means you weren't enough. But failure is just information. It's life handing you a mirror and saying, look again. Failure isn't punishment, it's correction. It's the universe grabbing your shoulder and shifting your direction before you crash into something bigger. And most of us fight it because failure bruises the ego. It makes you question your intelligence, your strength, your purpose. Failure has entered our lives in many directions. I can tell you from firsthand experience how many times I have failed and had to get myself back up. Failed in relationships, failed in careers, failed in life, failed in just trying to get my day going, tripping over myself, tripping over my words, tripping over my own understanding, and feeling like it was never going to happen. And you got to ask yourself sometimes, how did it feel? What broke inside you? What did it teach you? That's where the gold is. Not in the wind, but in the wound. Now, here's part nobody prepares you for. Misrepresentation, where people misunderstand your struggle. They'll think your exhaustion is laziness. Your silence is weakness. Your distance is pride. Your rebuilding season looks like falling apart to those who don't understand growth. And that hurts because part of us want to be seen correctly. We want people to know I'm trying. I carry more than you know. I'm fighting battles you can't see. But not everybody's meant to understand your chapter. Some people only know how to read headlines, not the whole book. I've been in many situations in life. I've been through an addiction. I've been through prison. I've been homeless. I've been alone. But people don't understand what came from all of these little sections of life that put me in a place where I can build from, where I can see from, where I can give more now because I've experienced what it meant to go through these things. And you got to ask, how did it shape you? Did it harden you? Did it teach you? Those are the questions you have to ask when you put yourself inside of situations. People are just misunderstanding what's happening. Tell somebody you went to prison and they're like, damn, who did you kill? Damn, what happened to you? How long were you down? Did it change? Are you changed because of that? The hardest battles are internal. That voice, that dark little architect in the back of your mind, that one that says, you'll never make it. You're too late. You failed already. That voice builds prisons out of memory. And if you're not careful, you'll decorate those walls and call it home. And here's the truth. Your mind is a storyteller. And not every story it tells is true. Pain distorts reality. Fear edits the script. Trauma rewrites the end before it happens. That's why healing matters. Because if you don't heal, you keep reliving different faces, same pain, different roads, same destination. That's how we end up back inside of the addiction, back inside of battling fear, depression, anxiety, anger, hopelessness. What did you tell yourself? What lie did you believe? At some point, something changes. Not because life got easier, but because you got tired of bleeding in the same place. And that shift, when pain stops being your home and starts becoming your fuel, when failure becomes data, when rejection becomes redirection, when misrepresentation stops mattering because your relationship with yourself becomes stronger than public opinion. That's power. That's powerful. Real, not loud, not flashy, rooted into the earth, quiet, like roots cracking concrete. When I went through all these things I've mentioned before, from homeless, addiction, prison, relationships, problems, drama, pain, trauma, every time I've come to a point where it never kept me down. I never felt the streets were going to keep me homeless. I never felt loneliness was going to keep me alone. I never felt like I wasn't capable of changing my life. There was always something that sparked that kept me moving, kept pushing, kept telling me that there's a better day coming. And as it came, I understood why pain was important, why these things that we go through are so important. To whomever is listening, maybe you feel like you're losing right now. Maybe life has hit harder than expected. Maybe people left. Maybe money is tight. Maybe your dream feels far away. Maybe you're carrying shame. But hear this. Your failure does not disqualify you. Your misunderstanding does not define you. Your pain is not permanent. This chapter is not your identity. It's your training ground. Steel doesn't become steel without fire, and neither do you. The mountain isn't against you. It's building your legs. One day, you'll look back at this season and things that almost broke you will become the reason you stand taller. Failure will make sense. The betrayal will make sense. Not because it was fair, but because it forged you. And when that day comes, you won't thank the easy moments. You'll thank the storm because it taught you how to survive. And survival is where greatness begins. I tell you, I tell you this now as we begin our journey with this podcast, as we begin to understand why we have been through what we've been through. So I can give you an understanding from my perspective into another and help you take ground, help you plant roots, and help you understand just how important your life is now. And just because the storm was heavy doesn't mean the sun doesn't live on the other side of the clouds. Your life, your life means every bit than you give credit for. And what I mean by that is that just because you're at a low point and just because you feel like it's not happening quick enough doesn't mean your life now isn't worth the value you give yourself credit for. You are the greatest source of divine entity on this planet. And how you present it today will help somebody tomorrow. And what you give back today will bring back for someone tomorrow. Share your stories. Share your experiences. Don't be scared to relive and rehash out what has happened so you can heal from the trauma that is still being carried with you. Don't allow that weight to keep dragging you to a point where you can't push and move forward. And with that, this is Thoughts of the Challenge. And the challenge isn't life. The challenge is who you become because of it. I am your host, your boy Miro. Until next time, keep fighting, my friends.